Welcome to Outboard Motorbike. There's our engine all buttoned back together with its new gaskets and new piston in there. Pretty much standard outside, apart from I've tidied up some of the electrics here. That's my custom water inlet to go in the back of the engine. Malcolm's inlet manifold. Otherwise pretty much as you see it. And on the back of the engine there are a few more little mods which I'll share with you. It's got the little shortened studs for the gearbox to attach to. And down here some step studs to step from 3/8 down to 1/4 inch to accommodate our little exhaust piece. But bearing in mind this engine used to sit with this side facing down. Now that way's up. When we fill it up with water, the water needs to get out again. So there's now a little 3mm hole there to let the water from that chamber into this chamber. And to get the water out of this chamber, the air out of this chamber, there's just room under the gearbox to put a little live bleed fitting there in the plate. So that should make sure we get most of the air out. And to get the water out of the engine, that's the standard, was the standard Mercury base gasket. Goes in there, more or less like so. Hang on a sec. Very much like so. That's standard, apart from it's had a hole cut in it here to let the water out. So the water goes in there through what was the poppet valve, round the engine, back out through the exhaust, and out there, ready to roll. And on the right hand side of the engine, it's all pretty standard, apart from up here I've removed the oil injection unit and blanked it off. And down here, that's the ignition timing, would you believe? The outboard motorbike had this, the outboard motor had this funny arrangement where just as you took the throttle away from idle, it advanced the ignition by a huge amount. Or conversely, as you put it to idle, the ignition retarded a huge amount. Too complicated to rig up to a motorbike throttle, but I've just set it so you can have 4 different static positions that rotate the little armature inside the flywheel, and we'll see what we see. So how to assemble an outboard motorbike. There's our engine with our modified gasket on the back of it. First thing to go on is our sandwich plate. Now before we put the gearbox on, for reasons of access, we need to put our little bit of exhaust pipe on and our little water outlet manifold. The lid down there. Different notes. I know why that is. You'll have to guess. And now, our gearbox assembly can go on. Look at that. And with the gearbox bolted on, we can add the rear half of the frame. It sits there all by itself. And appearing before us now, we have the battery box, and down there the gear linkage, which now has M5 joints here. There just wasn't room to fit M6 joints in there with the clearance to the chain, but that'll be right. And here comes the front half of the frame. Pretty much like so. Here comes the carburetor. Like so. The bottom triple clamp with its needle roller bearings goes in like so, with an oil seal. and a retaining nut on top. Very nice, Mr. Suzuki. That little fella gets done up nice and tight with a pin spanner, and on with the top triple clamp. Gets bolted up and retained by this little bolt. One fork tube is in. Here comes the other one. A little bit scary, so it rocked the bike back to fit it in, but come on baby, there we go. And it needs to have just the right extension out the top. Oops. Here to suit the handlebars, which we'll sort out in a minute. Now if you watch carefully, you'll see the ignition switch appear before you, which is great. It also means I've got to remember where all these bloody wires go since I pulled the bike apart 6 months ago. And right here is a very special pair of handlebars, beautifully chromed, electroplating technology in Queen Bin if you need that sort of quality service. And not surprisingly, they still fit, near enough. There we go. Ta-da! So now, it looks like this. Now to be able to ride the bike, we need to have a clutch and a throttle, among other things. That's our Harley clutch cable. But because the Harley gearbox went behind an engine which was a transverse V-twin and quite narrow, that cable used to go in where that bolt is, which on a V6 runs straight into the cylinder head. But luckily there's enough meat in that casting, we're able to make another hole just the same, in a different place, over here, which still works and just clears the cylinder head. We get on and fit that in there and spec the clutch cable, like so. And by some bizarre coincidence in the motorbike world, the Harley clutch cable is pretty much the right length for the outboard motorbike. So I convert the strange stuff this end to suit a Suzuki clutch lever. We'll be in business there. As you can see, the radiator's in place. And here comes our electric water pump, which just sits in there. Further supported by the outlet pipe, which is the inlet pipe to the engine obviously. Like so, that's all good. But I'm going to put a little bleed up here to let air out of the system when I fill it up with coolant. That's okay where it is. So now little electrical substations appeared, and those two wires are the only ones that need to be connected to the Mercury loom to make it run. That's the starter motor, that's the kill switch. Messy bunch of wires. The battery's there now, a little lovely lightweight lithium ion battery. Big enough to start a Chev, should do the job. And up here, the right hand twist grip and hand control, which contains two essential things, kill switch and a starter button. So if we do this, turn the ignition on and push the starter button, probably not much to see here. Hey, party time. Now the path we're going down here is either impetuosity, pessimism or superstition, I'm not sure, but I always like to start an engine up before it's all fully bolted in and everything assembled in case it's got to come out again. So the next thing is to get that funny Star Wars looking thing, which is the coil pack, bolted on underneath. Goes up under there. and we can put some petrol in it, crank it over and see if it makes a noise. So fire extinguisher at the ready. A little bit of what's known colloquially as New Zealand choke, just to see. Oop, too much. Ignition on. I'm not going to stand there. Run and... Ooh. Oh well, they're fired. Probably got too much fuel in it. Ooh. That'll do for now.